No need to worry, I'll get my own sustenance eventually. Yeah, from me when he slurps me like a Capri-Sun. Hello and welcome to Death is Sunhaired. This is a dark romance vampire dating sim that was submitted to Yandere Jam this year. And in this, you encounter the mysterious vampire Vasily when you go and visit his castle one night. He's handsome and charming, but the longer you stay, it's apparent that something is very, very wrong. Will you be able to escape before it's too late, or will you forever remain in Vasily's clutches? Let's get started. Oh my god, I'm so excited. This is giving me like Castlevania vibes, and I'm very, very into Castlevania. The longer you trudge through this hellish storm, the angrier you get. Your clothing is completely soaked through, the sodden fabric making your arduous journey even harder, impeding your movement while the chill sinks into your bones. It was a fool's errand to even attempt this, but you have no other choice. Even if you were to turn back, it would take you just as long to return to the village than to arrive at your intended destination. And if you were to show your face without any news, if you had to tell them that you simply gave up, the surviving residents of Zarakivo, I hope I pronounced that correctly, have forgiven you for so much in your life, but you know that they would never forgive you for that. Oh, good god. You want to survive being a wife? Play as femme. Yeah, I'll do this. With your parents long dead in the ground and your own health frail, you could have been the heroine of one of those dramatic novels, fainting every which way. But in a village like you were from, even a sickly orphan girl is meant to pull her weight. You cooked and cleaned and helped manage the household of the family who took you in after your parents' deaths. This alone took up much of your energy. How would you ever manage to be a mother on top of it? So far, you had turned down every man who had asked for your hand in marriage. But you didn't know how long that would last. It wouldn't matter to those husbands whether or not you could survive carrying a child. With your health, going on this journey was a dangerous idea in the first place. Even without the storm, but anyone could have the resources to stop the plague sweeping through the village. It would be the lord of the land, wouldn't it? A squall of wind hits your chest, making you double over in pain. It takes all the strength you have to keep walking forward. With each movement, the storm intensifies, slowing your movements even further. But you will not give up. You can't, no matter what. You keep putting one foot in front of the other, trying to focus on the repetitive motion rather than the other terrible sensations around you. You raise one foot and move it forward and put it back down. Then repeat with the other foot again and again, over and over again. And you're so immersed in this feeling that when one foot gets stuck in the mud or on a tree root, something, it completely shocks you. When you fall to the ground, your vision goes completely dark. Oh no! Something is off when you next come to. The music is so nice. You're not laid flat in the mud. You're in a bed. One much softer than the one that you're used to. It is comfortable, and comfort is something you've known little of in your life. Feeling it now is simply strange. You are warm in the blanket swaddling you, but there is also something cool touching your hands. When you finally open your eyes, you see a man staring down at you, a desperately love-struck expression on his face. Oh, already? Oh, hello. Elizaveta, you're finally awake. I've been waiting for this day to come. It's me, your husband, Vasily. I've never seen you in my life, but yeah, I'll be Elizaveta if you want me to be. You blink once, twice, 3 times, hoping that things will make sense. They do not. First of all, your name is... What is your name? He doesn't even know your name, yet he is talking as if you've known each other for a long time. You must have me confused with someone else. My name is Yinny. Your voice is scratchy in your throat, and you just have to hope that he can hear you because you don't think you can get any louder without straining yourself. I'm sure you must be disappointed, looking for one woman and ending up with another. The man smiles at you as if he had anticipated your reaction. I am not surprised that you do not remember me. It has been so long. I think even the most devoted wife would lose a few details eventually. But I know you very well. Your hair, your eyes, your skin, you are her spitting image in all the ways that matter. If you weren't so ill, you would practically be her doppelganger. Can I just say how nice the backgrounds are? They're very pretty. This man seems to have left reality behind a long time ago. Play along with his assertion. Sure? You believe I'm this Elizaveta's reincarnation? I do not believe I know. You're very confident. I would not be able to stand this life if I were not. When is he gonna bite me so I can become his juice box? Hello? Perhaps, but I've come to you about the village, not about me. Vasily looks at you confused. Village? The one I came from. You do have the title to the land surrounding this area, do you not? Oh yes, but now that you're here, you won't need to worry about that dreadful place anymore, do you? I suppose I don't. You think for a long moment about your home and what it truly gave you. 2 dead parents, townspeople who pitied you or despised you, or tried to take advantage of you. A body racked with pain and fatigue that will never ever go away. This Vasily is clearly mad, But he's a different kind of mad from what you're used to. If you die here, it will at least be an interesting death. I have no love lost for the people there, but I also doubt it's a good idea to let a plague run rampant. A plague? Yes, many other townspeople have succumbed to it. Do you know anything about it? I'm not sure. Do you believe the illness you have now is your village's plague? No, I have been ill my whole life. The plague that's been spreading, it starts with a rash on the neck, and I've never had that. I see. If it's something like a rash, then most likely it's being spread by pests, isn't it? Rats and the like. But on the neck? If people were being bitten by rats, wouldn't people be getting rashes all over? On their hands and arms and legs? I don't know. Are they bats? Are bats biting us? Suddenly, Vasily raises his voice at you. Do I seem like an expert on rodents to you? Okay, we don't have to be so sensitive. A sudden commotion causes a squeak to emanate from the other side of the room. In the corner of your eye, you see a quick movement from under a small table. No, I can't say that you do. I don't want to die, so I'm just gonna be nice. He's rather handsome, actually. Although you wouldn't dare to tell him to his face, you fear it would only worsen his affections towards you. He already sees you as his wife, and if she was affectionate towards him, you look like, well, like nobility, I suppose. He smiles gently at you. Do I? I'm glad to hear that time hasn't weathered me too badly. I don't think it's weathered you at all. Hello, fine shit. When you live such a solitary existence, it's hard to know how other people see you. Vasily looks rather young. Not much older than you, but the way he talks makes it seem like he's much older. You suppose even the poorer end of nobility gets to age more gracefully than a peasant. Are you tired, dear? You felt fine, but now that you think about it, it's a struggle to keep your eyes open. Vasily moves a hand to tuck a lock of your hair behind your ear. You don't have enough strength to bat him away, so you let him. I will return when you're ready. Sleep well. Goodbye. You've never been on the grand adventures that other people had experienced in their dreams, but you also never experienced the terrors that could follow you into your waking days. A fair trade, you believed. Yet on this night, you have a dream. Even as you watch it, you can't tell what it means. There is a figure. A person. A woman, probably. She is turned away from you. You can tell that she is wearing a dress, but you cannot make out any particular details of it. Only that it is black, as if she is a widow in mourning. The woman in black does not talk. She simply stands there, unmoving. Finally, her head turns, as if she is getting ready to speak to you. And then you wake up. When you return to the waking world, you try and wipe away the confusion with sensible thoughts. It's just a dream. Most people have dreams. It's normal. But you can't keep the unease away. Burning questions claw and scratch uneasily, unceasingly. Why here and why now? You can't tell how long has passed. There are no clocks and only a dim red light suffuses the room. Was the sun setting or rising? You hear movement, but the area is so shadowed that you can barely tell they're a person, let alone anything else about them. Once they come closer, you can see it as Vasily and a servant. Vasily draws closer. Are you feeling better now, my dear? Putting aside his unyielding affections for but a moment, you take a full accounting of your own health. It is a bit difficult, but the memory of the foreboding dream still lodged in your mind, but you manage. You wouldn't say you feel strong, so to speak. You rarely do, even in more favorable environments. But thankfully, you no longer feel like you're lingering at death's doorstep. How I'm gonna film outside of this room, I don't know, but hey, whether it was Vasily who tended to you, or the servant lurking beneath the doorframe, you do have to admit that you are doing much better. Are you feeling better? Answer politely. I am, thank you. It was no trouble at all, Yandere. Your needs will always be tended to as long as you reside here. The sentiment seems somewhat overblown, just like how I overblow him. The two of you barely know each other, but you do appreciate his care. Do you believe that you'd be able to walk? I think so. I did bring a servant to help dress you. I'd like for us to walk the grounds together if you'd be amenable. The servant steps forward, stepping just enough into the dim candlelight that their features become just barely visible. Even close to you, you have trouble identifying any defining features. She looks down, giving you a quick curtsy. I assumed you would be much more comfortable being dressed by a maid rather than myself. I mean, I don't mind if you dress me. Luckily, Elizavetta's dresses should fit you well. Alright, you don't have anything else to do, so you might as well accept his offer. It might help to become more familiar with just where exactly you're being held. The maid quickly takes off your bedclothes. Was she the one who put them on you in the first place? And begins to dress you in one of Elizavetta's old dresses. You had expected some kind of grand garment, but instead the dress is rather plain and entirely black in color. The maid assures you that it was part of Elizavetta's regular wardrobe, not a morning dress. but otherwise deflects nearly every other question you ask of it. Although now in intimately close proximity to you, her face seems even less defined. It isn't long before you shoot out of the room in your new outfit and led along until you reach a grand hall. Helloyinny, do you think you regained enough strength to walk outside? I believe so, yes. It had taken a few moments for you to balance on your feet again. It must have been over a day since you last walked, but before long you were moving about it naturally. Splendid. If you do feel weak, please tell me right away. I can carry you. Oh, thank you. Question him or thank him? I will thank him. I'm gonna be nice. It is much appreciated. Vasily practically beams as bright as the shining stars. I would do anything at all for you, Yinny. You are completely safe with me. I mean, I barely know you, but okay. Now come along. The outdoors awaits. I don't want to go outside. Vasily grabs you gently by the arm, pulling you forward. Though his movements are not forceful, you feel it nigh impossible to escape his grip even if you wanted to. No, don't take me outside. With his free hand, he opens the door, revealing very little. It is nighttime. Although barely so. The last dregs of sunlight illuminate the scenery just enough to make out the outlines of your surroundings. Make out with him. Wow, look at the hair. It's like ruffling. Did I take too long to get ready? No, not at all. This is the perfect time for an outing. Perfect time? Vasily, it looks like the sky is having its time of the month. It is? Vasily nods as he pats your arm. A clear signal to start moving. Indeed, I know it might seem rather strange to you. If I could take you out during the daytime, I would. My illness prevents me from going out into the sun. Oh yeah, your illness, huh? I get terrible burns and rashes. I see. And is that also why you haven't been able to carry out your noble duties? It is a large part of why, yes. It is very difficult to make arrangements that prevent me from going into the daylight. And the rashes are so painful that accidental exposure renders me nearly immobile. Now I feel bad. He looks up, his eyes scanning the horizon. The sky is not quite black yet. In fact, it is just about the same color as Vasily's hair. This is about the earliest I can safely go outside. So your timing was perfect. We have the whole night ahead of us if you like. While the sky above is beautiful, the grounds are somewhat less so. What do the grounds look like? Oh. As you walk, he tells of long ago gatherings that happened here, when the property was still fit to show to others. Treading lightly along an overgrown pathway, he tells you of a truly marvelous party held shortly after he and Elizaveta married. How the two of them held hands and laughed with their friends as the sunlight shone dappled through the trees. At one point, he leads you into the ruins of what was once a statue garden, but was now surrounded by family graves. Vasily regales you with the histories of the long-dead ancestors that had once walked the land. He talks so much that you cannot get a single word in. Perhaps if you felt ill or weak, he might listen, but otherwise he seems primarily interested in sharing stories he likely hadn't been able to share with anyone. His verbal tour doesn't come to a lull until sometime later, when Vasily squeezes your arm and slows to a stop. He looks down and you follow his gaze. At your feet stands a gravestone. Lit only by the blood moon, a single legible word is revealed. Elizaveta. The stone is heavily weathered just like the statues, but it also shows signs of having been intentionally damaged. Below her name, the dates of birth and death have been roughly carved away, leaving slipshod gashes on the memorial. Next to the grave is a hole, large enough to fit an adult man. This is where my dearest Liza rests, and next to it is where I will rest too if I ever fall into the clutches of death myself. Vasily laughs lightly, although there is very little mirth in the sound. A small morsel of dark humor. Forgive me. Sometimes one has to make their own levity when life grows bleak. He looks back down at Elizaveta's gravestone, staring at it resolutely, an uninterpretable expression across his face. I dare say only the most powerful of beings could find a way to cheat death. He says nothing else for some time. It occurs to you that, if you are willing to interrupt the moment, this may be a chance to finally talk to him. What happened to the gravestone? And those markings on the grave where her birthday and death day should be? What happened? It doesn't look weathered like the rest of the stone. Simply a vandal, nothing more. You'd certainly seen your fair share of vandalism in your time, but this seemed like a strange explanation for the gravestone. The grave sits on a lord's land, as little attended to as they are far away from most other civilization. Why would pretty vandals venture this far out and then risk punishment for defacing a noble's grave? And why would they only chip away the dates, leaving her name? You look at Vasily, wanting to ask him further, but his darkened countenance gives you pause. He's frowning now, an expression more severe than you've seen on him throughout your entire outing. You were not sure that you would survive asking him more about the gravestone. Well, do we want to press for more information? I've saved. He might murk us, just letting you know. Press for more information, more like press something down there. But yes. Okay, we'll press for more information, and then we will come back. If it was vandalism, wouldn't he have just had it fixed? So true. you're right. It hasn't been difficult finding a mason to repair it. We have a family in Sarajevo with generational memorial masonry skills, perhaps? No. I don't mean to be that person. I know he's about to use us as a juice box and slurp us for everything we worth. But that looks hot. Vasily cuts you off, curt and decisive. His features look somewhat sharper. His eyes seem to glow in the dim light, hollowing his dour expression. Impossible. I'll contact a mason of renown. This grave deserves more than the uneven etches of a village peasant. Hey! What the hell? Perhaps an entire refresh is in order. Maybe some grand engravings. A book by her side, maybe. Ah, Elizaveta could devour books in a single evening, and I'll devour you in a single evening. Bend over. His icy edges melt, if only slightly, as he quietly reminisces. How did she die? Yeah, we're gonna pick the freaky looking one. And the words tumble out of your mouth like water from a broken dam. I suppose you'd be curious about your past life. Wanting to know of one's death, as well as life, is only natural. You turn and realize he's quite close to you. His face is cast in shadow, except for his mouth, a taut line. Uh-oh, I'm in danger. Something changes in Vasily's demeanor, as if he's struggling to restrain himself. Yinny, you have no idea what you do to me, do you? I mean, I'm just kind of chilling. His smile seems forced, and you think it's best to defuse the situation. Is there anywhere close by we can sit down? My legs are feeling a bit wobbly. Do you need me to carry you? If you insist. I don't need you to, but if you're offering... Wonderful. Come on. Up you go. Oh, hello. Wow. When you decide to accept his offer, you weren't sure what would happen. You thought perhaps that it was just the typical bravado of a noble man, making offers he had no intention of following through on. Whoa, look at him. Vasily has shown himself to be very unexpected in so many ways. He easily lifts you up off the ground and into his arms. So easily, in fact, that you let out a squeak at the sudden sensation. You almost slip out of his grasp, but you're able to reach around his shoulders just in time for the two of you to keep yourselves off the ground. You truly weren't joking? Of course not. Now let us retire home, dear. Vasily sets off in the direction of the castle. At least you assume that is the direction he's going in. You're not familiar with the grounds, to say for sure, nor can you see well enough to tell. Not for the first time, you are completely at the mercy of Vasily's whims. He could take you anywhere he wanted, and you'd be almost powerless to stop him. And the thought sends a thrill through you. You try to suppress a shiver, but don't do a very good job at it. The journey back to the mansion goes by quick, and Vasily's concluded tour leaves you enough room for you to recount your own tales. You discuss much of Sarajevo. Vasily appears rather ill-informed of his own territory. A small rat scurries across your path, interrupting your thoughts. Just how many could inhabit these grounds? God, if you could read my thoughts, I'd be dead. Once the two of you retreat back inside, you expect him to leave you with a servant. But instead, he insists on taking you back to your bedroom. That is what he calls the room you've been resting in. Bedroom? You are tired enough by now that you let him stay without qualm. Look at him sitting at my bedside. Pull him onto the bed. No, you would probably let him, even if you were fully awake. If you were completely honest with yourself. If I was completely honest with myself, I'd let him on the bed right now and bend me over. You do, however, insist that he does not stay in the room while you're trying to sleep. Yinny, you coward! In exchange, he makes a show of making sure you are comfortable before he's satisfied enough to allow himself to leave. It is charming in its own way. Once you're finally alone, it does not take long to slip into slumber. You have another dream. No, that is not quite accurate. Rather, you have the same dream as last night. The woman in the black garment is there again, standing motionless in the darkness. However, this time she is clearer. You see the details of the outfit she wears. Atop her head sits a regal headdress, and her dress is in the style of an old Saracen. Such clothing has been out of fashion longer than the village elders have been alive. You feel as if you stand before an icon of a time long forgotten. You are absolutely certain that the dress is the exact same one as the one you wore out with Vasily. On top of that, you can see a birthmark on her neck. Not a strand of hair peeks through the veil she wears. Like last time, she turns her head. But this time, the dream does not end. She looks at you. Her eyes move up and down slowly as if she's inspecting you. The woman smiles at you, but it is not friendly or gentle. It is the smile of someone watching a plan finally come to fruition. Oh no! I'm onion rings. Immediately after, you wake up in a cold sweat. Your ill mood is intensified by the fatigue in your limbs. Last night's walk took even more out of you than you had expected. Now you don't know if you'll ever be able to get out of bed at all today. You know, that dream wasn't creepy at all. What the hell, I'm gonna die. If it is, in fact, daytime, like before, the dull red lighting is the same. With no clocks anywhere in this room, you have no way of knowing how long you've been asleep. No clocks and also no cocks. Where is Vasily? The room isn't completely dark, however. There are a handful of candles scattered around on tables. their flames gently flickering. One of these candles illuminates the outline of a human figure. Vasily. Oh, wait, my bad, there is Cox in this room. And the fire's refraction makes him seem almost like an otherworldly figure. A being who shouldn't exist in this room, in this world. But you dismiss that thought as a wild fantasy of the drowsy, and instead consider how to start off your day. Vasily! If that's you, whip it out. Call out to Vasily. Good morning, Vasily. He looks towards you, then approaches your bedside. Without the fire so close, his silhouette solidifies, becoming a steady presence rather than an almost ghost. Good morning, Yinny. I hope you slept well. Very. I don't think I've slept better in my life. It was a lie, but you did not want to be a bad guest so soon. Despite how run down everything is, it's still a level of comfort far greater than what you're used to. However, a single night of sleep hasn't performed a miracle. You still feel too weak to get out of bed. How long have I been asleep? Long enough to start building up your strength. That's what's most important, yes? I suppose. It'll be hard to get used to your regular schedule once you get back home. At this pace, that won't be a while yet. The view is beautiful. You can see a fountain through the thick glass of the tall windows. Isn't it? That's why I made sure to have you rest in this room. Looking at the scene always invigorates me. I imagine you'll be running around the grounds again in no time. It's a fun thought, although you feel like he's overstating it a bit. Are you literate? Excuse me? To an extent. I can bring you some books if you like. Please do. It might not be the most fruitful idea. While you can read, you worry that the books he has might be the dry verbose sort that you have trouble with. For a moment, you think he's going to leave the room, but instead he starts conversing with a maid who had been hiding in the shadows so discreetly you hadn't noticed her at all. She leaves quietly, then a few minutes later reappears with a stack of books in her arms. Vasily thanks her as he transfers the books from her arms to his, inspecting each spine as he goes. Very good. He places a stack next to you, taking care not to accidentally be too forceful. These should be suitably diverting, I think. Please tell me, or one of the maids, if you need someone light to read by. I will, thank you. Before the days of the plague, when sickness did not ooze out of every door, and hope outweighed fear, you often read to the village children. The kids, many of whom could not yet read, would gather and listen hungrily. Sometimes if your energy allowed, you try and teach them a written word or two. While their parents hated how little you could do for the village, they seemed to appreciate the entertainment you could provide for their children. Not that it ever lessened their biting dislike for you. You pick the top book off the stack and start reading. To your surprise, it isn't some kind of dry history or records like you thought a noble might have in his home, but rather a novel. It is a rather scandalous one, actually. Even though you're reading silently and nobody can see over your shoulder, you can't help but feel like you're reading something you shouldn't. But something about seeing these characters in your mind's eye make terrible decisions over and over again makes you feel better about your own choices. You haven't killed your husband to then marry his brother, then killed the brother to marry his recently widowed father. What? A mess. You appear intrigued by that story, Yinny. Quite the dramatic tale, no? Vasily leans closer to see what page you paused at. A warm sensation prickles across your cheeks. Offer to read together. You are familiar with it. It is my book after all. It must be good if it still intrigues you after having already read it. Would you like to read with me? A contented smile spreads across Vasily's face. I thought you'd never ask. Aww, he's so pretty. Look at him. Together, Vasily and you embark on the treacherous heroine's story. Though the book's contents try to draw you into its world, you remain firmly anchored in reality due to Vasily's proximity. A leading lady is frightfully cunning. She's as compelling as she is respectable. Agreed. Anyone who chases their goals with this level of conviction is worth admiring. Her methods of getting rid of these bodies could use some work, though. She'd be better off with water disposals rather than hiding them in her family mausoleum. Vasily lets out an airy chuckle. What? You amuse me. Good ideas on your part, dear, but devastating in consequence. You see, the only water around our heroine's castle is their well. The corpse's impurities would surely taint their drinking water, thus killing everyone in the castle. I appreciate you playing a killer though, my dear. It was quite charming. You feel uneasy at being compared to a killer. Even if fictional, but you hold fast to your bravery and don't react. Even though Vasily sits so close beside you, you can't feel any heat emanating from him. He seems otherworldly in both beauty and in coloring. His skin is almost alabaster, reminiscent of the bloodless bodies of the plague victims. A symptom of his illness, perhaps. He tilts his head, and his long russet locks dramatically curtain his face. It struck you that you had never seen him in daylight. What would he look like under the sun? You could only imagine. His hair would surely dazzle like a gentle sunrise, while his face might finally look fair and radiant rather than unnaturally beautiful. It is your line. He turns, giving you a soft and slightly amused smile. Embarrassment floods through you. You've been caught staring at him. Oh, yes. Before you can find where you left off fast enough, Vasily sighs with satisfaction. I miss such domesticity, this intimacy. I would love to be closer to you, to spend more days in this manner. He says so unabashedly, most would stutter through a confession like that to a stranger, but not Vasily. Though your time together has been scant, he treats you with fervent affection. Whether that makes him brazen or courageous, you've yet to decide. Regardless, you've never experienced positive attention like this before. Once in the thick of the plot, acting out the book with Vasily becomes so entertaining that you lose track of time. Slowly, your strength starts fading as your sickness catches up with you again. Vasily takes over your lines and you gradually fall asleep to the sound of his soothing voice. You could not recall sleeping at all, and woke up feeling just as tired as before. Hi, Moog. Despite the respite, you could not help but feel uneasy after the last vivid encounter. Was this just a temporary lull? Like yesterday and earlier, Vasily is waiting for you in the bedroom. Today at least, he's not perched at your bedside like an eager cat. Instead, he sits across the room reading a book by candlelight. You wonder how long it'll take him to realize you are awake, and the answer turns out to be not long at all. He notices you stirring almost immediately. Yinny, he seems almost radiant as he puts the book down and approaches. You slept well, I hope? Tell him about the dream. Yeah, tell him about the dream. He has been so kind and generous with his time. The least you can do is tell him the truth. You explain to him how having any dream at all is unusual for you. Then how you had almost the same dream twice in a row. You describe the woman in the dream, her regalia, her posture, her skin, the way she looked at you. The dress in particular you emphasize is surely the same as the one he gave you to wear previously. As you tell the story, Vasily looks at you stone-faced, his expression inscrutable. Oh no, I see. You are very ill, so it should be a little surprised that your mind is reacting strangely. He gives you what you suppose to be a reassuring smile. Though a smile in shape, its edges are taut and inorganic. I promise you have nothing to worry about. A bad dream is just that, a dream. Why, I don't even remember most of the dreams I've had. And you must have liked that dress if it appeared in your dream. You can keep it if you wish. It truly looks beautiful on you. I don't trust this. I think you'll feel much better with a change of scenery. I can't go outside at this moment, but the sitting room should be pleasant enough while we wait for the cooks to finish up. Vasily guides you to the sitting room. Like the rest of the castle you visited, the room is maintained but very old. The seats are worn and there are clear signs of deterioration on the paintings lining the wall. How long do you think it'll take for the food to be ready, Vasily? Not long at all, I assure you. But more importantly, you don't have to address me so stiffly. We are close, as we not? You can call me Vasya. Vasya? The nickname sits strangely on your tongue. Okay, but you see no harm in indulging him. And besides, you surely will get used to it with practice. There is gonna be harm in indulging him, isn't there? It nicely rolls off the tongue. Vasya, I'm sure something else of his will roll off my tongue nicely. Anyways, Vasya gives you a shy boyish smile. The warm gesture clashes with your otherwise gloomy surroundings. Thank you, I missed hearing it. The servants here always address me formally and, well, there is no longer anybody else. But it is no matter. Whatever thoughts Vasya had about the situation, he didn't feel as if it was necessary to share them with you. For once, however, he has not felt the need to change the subject himself. You could sit in silence, but perhaps it would be best to take initiative. Ask about the paintings on the wall. There are so many paintings on the walls here. Which one is your favorite? Or if you are asking about the paintings in the entire castle, that is an easy question to answer. There is a beautiful portrait of Liza in one of the bedrooms. But as for the ones in this room specifically, Vasya stands up, pacing around the room, looking thoughtfully at each of the paintings in turn. You end up following him to get a better look at each art piece. And there is a large variety of art on the walls. Portraits and landscapes and still lifes. His eyes settle on a garden scene. It is quite pretty. I think it would have to be this one. It reminds you of happier times. At first you wonder why. Isn't that just a garden? But then you look more closely at the painting. You realize that it isn't just a garden. It's the very same one you and Vasya walked through the other night. In the painting there is no graveyard. The bushes are even and covered with flowers. And just admiring it makes you feel a deep nostalgic sadness. Yes. You see it, don't you? I do. It's beautiful. This music is making me sad and emotional and small. It could be beautiful again one day. I just need help. How can I help you? I know I'm not experienced with a noble's responsibilities, but if I can help in any way, you needn't worry about that. I didn't have any experience at first either. I married above my station, so to speak. All you really need to do is be yourself. That would be the most helpful of all to me. Suddenly you fall unconscious. Wait, hang on a second. Elizaveta is hot. Maybe I could date her instead. Oh my god, I love this music. It's so like 90s or early 2000s vampire anime, like, you know, like Trinity Blood or Vampire Hunter D. Like that kind of style. It's so good. The dream returns, and so does the woman from it. She's not looking away from you this time. She is facing you directly. She doesn't speak, but instead holds her hands out. Fingers splayed, strings of red spider-like silk are attached to each of her fingertips, leading out and connecting to you. You wake up, and you know immediately that something is wrong. Dread coats every fiber of your being. Everything looks the same as it did before you lost consciousness, but you feel off. I am sure there will be no problem at all, Vasya. That's your voice. Your mouth and tongue are moving, but you didn't will yourself to speak. You try to move an arm, a leg, anything, but your body won't budge, not for you anyway. Oh no! Vasya seems to notice the difference immediately. He is no longer effortlessly in control. He looks both happy and scared at the same time. Liza, without your input, your arm is raised. And you place a finger on Vasya's lips. Your sense of touch is not lost, and you can feel his soft lips gently give way underneath your touch. What the hell? I'm in the cock chair inside my own body. No! I'm Yinny now, remember? No, you're not. Of course. You could always tell Vasya was powerful in some sort of strange way. That he's carrying in fear at her must mean you should be happy. You get to spend the rest of your life with him just like you wanted. That isn't your thought, but it enters your mind naturally as if it were. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. You did want to spend more time with Vasya, but you never imagined anything like this. The look on his face makes one thing clear. He would not be helping you take back control of your body. He is too scared of crossing her and yet enthralled by her presence all at once. Your new life begins as a bystander, puppeteered yet conscious. What the hell? No, I don't want to be... Aw, when I get cucked in my own body. So, we made it here. This time we didn't get killed by Elizaveta, so it wasn't the puppet ending. Instead we are taken to a new chapter. Hopefully I don't get a bad ending here either. Vasya takes you to a dining room. And the next few moments afterward are a blur. You knew that you were hungry, but you didn't think you were that hungry. Logically, you think that you ought to savor the kind of fine meal that would be served here. He's the fine meal that's being served here, look at him. But you end up speeding through the food, barely even paying any attention to how anything tastes. Vasily laughs, not in a mean-spirited way. His laughter flutters through the air as you pause your voracious devouring. I think this says a lot about my lack of recent practice in receiving guests. We can prepare seconds for you if you'd like. No, that's not necessary. Now that you're having a conversation instead of just eating, you realize Vasya hasn't eaten at all. Are you not eating breakfast too? Oh no, I've never been much of a breakfast person. No need to worry, I'll get my own sustenance eventually. Yeah, from me when he slurps me like a capricon. He looks up and down, and at you expectantly, and you shiver. You are no longer ravenously hungry. At least, you wonder a bit about Vasya. He has let enough slip that you know there is exactly something not quite human about him. But you cannot say what exactly it is. Girl, come on! Perhaps you yourself are no longer in your right mind. Because while you ought to want to leave, that is the farthest thing from your thoughts right now. You want to get even closer to him. Nice. You don't just want to stay here forever. You want to learn everything there is about Vasya. The good and the bad, even if that means that he sees you as Elizaveta forever. Perhaps that wouldn't be such a bad thing, so as long as it was with him. Suddenly you fall unconscious. No, don't you dare! The dream returns and so does the woman from it. No! No, I don't want to get cucked again. Damn it! She's not looking away from you this time. She's facing you directly. You wake up and you know immediately that something is wrong. Dread coats every fiber of your being. Everything looks the same as it did before you lost consciousness, but you feel off. I'm sure there'll be no problem at all, Vasya. That's your voice. Your mouth and tongue are moving, but you didn't will yourself to speak. You try to move an arm, a leg, or anything, but your body won't budge. Vasya seems to notice the difference immediately. He is no longer effortlessly in control. He looks both happy and scared at the same time. You better save me this time. Liza, without your input, your arm is raised. And you place a finger on Vasya's lips. Your sense of touch is not lost, and you can feel his soft lips gently give way underneath your touch. Shh, I'm Yinny now, remember? Of course. You could always tell that Vasya was powerful in some sort of strange way. That he's carrying in fear at her must mean you should be happy. You get to spend the rest of your life with him just like you wanted. The thought isn't your thought, but it enters your mind as naturally as if it were. You did want to spend more time with Vasya, but you never imagined anything like this. No, he's not helping me again. I don't want to be a puppet. Okay, so what if I do this one instead? What if I choose you want to stay exactly like this? Everything right now, it's not perfect. Far from it, but you feel so much more at home than you ever did in the village. Everything right now, it's not perfect. Far from it. But you feel so much more at home than you ever did in the village. See, I must have noticed you come to this realization, because he brings his chair even closer to yours. The maids seem to have already cleared out anyway. He leans in towards you, his touch feeling like ice against your burning skin. His cool breath skims your neck. How cold he is not being able to go into the sunlight. How he looks so young but speaks as if he's lived a long life. How he refused to eat. You're cursed, aren't you? This whole place is. After a moment, Vasily lets out a dry husk of a laugh. Well, aren't you clever? I was getting tired of sidestepping your inquiries. It wasn't my finest accomplishment, but I managed to eke out a life such as it is. But you hardly mind, don't you? Not at all. Hesitantly, you rest your hand atop his own. Vasya twitches as you make contact. You won't lie that this epiphany isn't frightening, but you hope the gentle touch reassures him that you aren't intimidated. I am not intimidated. Hello? It is I, Juicebox. And this curse permeates every inch of these grounds. I wonder, maybe it has to do with the village's plague. I've been under this curse for some time. The plague is new, is it not? Yes, but even so, it is the only lead that we have. When this is all over, we can walk in the garden again, but this time, in the sunlight. He considers your words, and then his features grow slightly soft. A spark seems to alight in his eyes once long burnt out, walking in the sunlight. But this newborn flame is quickly abruptly put out when a rat scurries beside the two of you. Though it quickly disappears into a dark corner, its fleeting presence is enough to have shattered the moment. What you speak of, it exists only in fairy tales. His expression hardens like stone and his eyes are engulfed in a new flame. Don't speak lightly of returning to the sun. Vasily violently rises and the items on the table clattering as if in fear. Something in your face must have moved. Vasily, for his face relaxed, and he walked closer to you instead. Rather than your fairy tale, let us do things my way. I can bite you here and take my fill. What? Wait, what about me? When do I get my fill? And by fill, I mean when is he gonna put his thingy? So on and so forth. I promise to take care of you forever, but you can never leave me. He doesn't say what he'll do if you try. It doesn't matter, this is a warning, not a proposal. I'm not ready. No matter how enchanting he was and how you long for a home, you weren't ready to share his fate. You wonder how your life in this castle might unravel and if Vasya would ever fully open up to you. Perhaps in the future, or perhaps only if you truly submitted to him and learn more about Elizaveta, the dark shadow tying both of your fates. To be continued. No! But I want the D so badly. Alright, let's pick the other option. Who's getting filled? Not me. I won't. My love, thank you. What? A sharp pain pierces through the skin of your neck. You've never been more glad for the hurt. Finally, you found a place where you belong. A home with someone who loves you. Yay! You never leave and you're glad for it. Finally! Slurp. Hooray! Suck it, Elizaveta. We should get the bad endings as well. There's 2 bad endings, so we'll quickly go and do those. Okay. Alright, we made it. Okay, this should be one of the bad endings, because we were very rude to him. And then we went back to the graveyard with him and insisted about knowing more information and pressed him when he didn't want to say it, when he didn't want to tell us, and now he's doing this. You know, I'm quite curious about something. With the words scarcely said, Vasily transforms into a blur of black and red. You feel fingers rip at your scalp, then forcefully shove you forward. Wait, hang on! Oh, he's so hot though. I know I'm about to die, but guys, look. Wow. This is I will not survive the winter. Isn't it pretty though? Your head hits the tombstone, leaving your vision blurry and mind dazed. Vasily. It has to be Vasily, right? Maneuvers your shocked body in front of him. Forcefully, he tilts your head to the side, exposing your neck to the moonlight. Although shock has left you numb, you feel a bitter chill as Vasily approaches close to your naked skin. A sharp pain pricks your neck. Your body screams to push Vasily away, to fight, to run, to anything. But your limbs fail to listen to the pleas of your mind. Heavy, sticky blood flows freely from the punctures, but it doesn't drip down your shoulder. Rather, Vasily eagerly drinks it. The graveyard around you fades into nothingness. Faintly, Vasily can be heard, his voice fuzzy and unreachable despite still being so close. Oh, Liza, if only you had not been so frustrating, our ill-fated cycle continues. Next time will be different. No matter how long I must wait, we'll find each other again, and then the curse will be... His voice grows farther and farther away, until you're alone in the sea of darkness. Numbness overtakes your entire frame, your senses lost on you. Your last thought is the urge to bitterly laugh, dying upon Elizavetta's grave. Dang! But yeah, if we continue to be mean to him, he should kill us on night 4. Not night 4, day 4. And this is day 4. But once you are alone, you hadn't realized how long it had been. For almost all your working hours since you arrived here, Vasily has been by your side. You find yourself grateful to have a moment without his presence. An easy inhale fills you with contentedness. Still in your nightclothes, you get up and walk around the room. It is unchanged from yesterday, but despite how long you spent here, you haven't been mobile enough to get a proper look at it. That portrait is so scary. It is remarkable only in the sense that you've never been in a room of this fancy before. Even in decline, it is clearly worth far more than the sum of all your possessions. One item stands out in particular, a painting on the wall above the drawers. It was impossible to see while you were resting, but you can get a clear look at it now. It doesn't look like most of the other art you've seen here. The style is too different. It must have been commissioned by an antique painter. It depicts a lone woman, and as your eyes drink in her exalted portrait, a foreboding cold surges through you. It's her, the woman in your dreams. The same headdress, the same clothing, the same imposing posture. She looks exactly like you. Surely there is no doubt. She must be Elizaveta. You have to leave. Damn this castle and damn the village. Something is wrong here and you're not going to be a part of it any longer. No matter what it means for the plague. Acting on instinct, you don't even attempt to find your personal clothing, you simply leave. You ignore the few servants you pass by in the parlor. You don't want to risk getting Vasily's attention. You're wearing only nightclothes and have no weapon. If you were to provoke his anger, you would not survive. The servants in turn leave you be. Each one you pass seems more like a shadow than a person. Their silhouettes fading into the dark corners and curtains surrounding them. When you look back, it was as if they were never there at all. Rats dart across the hallways, their echoing squeaks like teasing laughter. As one boldly runs past your feet, you swear it glares at you with unnaturally red eyes. Is the rat a vampire? The whole thing is made all the more nerve-wracking by the fact that you don't know your way around the castle. Having only been in a small part of it, you get lost several times, wondering if this building is a labyrinth constructed to frustrate you personally. Few things would surprise you any longer. Miraculously, you make it to the end of the hall just beyond where the front door would be. Uh-oh. And where Vasily is lying in wait. Damn it! Now where are you scurrying around to, dear? I just got lost. You got very lost. Why, you ended up circling the whole building twice. Is he like walking into different animals and like the servants around to watch me? Yes, I was trying to find a snack. Were you? Yet you didn't talk to any of our servants who would have helped you out gladly. As he talks, Vasily walks forward with even angry steps. He crowds you against a wall. There is a door nearby. The very one you came through to get in here, but it is now closed, and as you suspect, locked as well. Why, it almost seems to me as if you intended to leave. No, I wasn't, I promise. You don't need to lie to me. I've been alive for far too long for simple tricks like that to work. I had thought you were finally willing to make nice, Liza, but it seems I misjudged our guest here. I'm not Liza. Yes, and that is exactly the problem, but no matter. Still hot. He grabs you roughly by the hair, moving your head to the side to expose your neck. His mouth widens in a grin, exposing two long pearl white fangs. He gives a low hum as he hovers his mouth dangerously close to your naked neck. It has been so difficult to stay in control around you. People don't tend to like being confronted by a vampire's power. But if you can't stand me either way, there's no point in holding back anymore. Goodbye, Yinny. The sweet taste of your blood should be a fair trade for how torturous this ordeal has been. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be annoying. There is so much you want to say. But in the moment, all you can do is scream as a piercing pain suddenly erupts in your neck. Goose flesh sprouts across your body as an overwhelming numbness overtakes you. Vasily drinks from you like a man thirsting in the desert for days. It is a painful, burning sensation made worse by his lack of control. When your vision starts to fade and you lose consciousness, you welcome it. Death must be better than this. Well, we got all the endings. Yay! That was fun though, I liked this. I liked Vasily and like how mysterious he was. However, I do wish that I guess there was a little bit more when it came to the good endings, because I feel like the good endings ended very quickly. It does say to be continued, and the devs did mention that like if the game like did well, they were going to look into potentially expanding on the story and adding more to it, which is really interesting, and I hope that they do so, because I feel like the lore for this is very, very cool and they could build a lot onto it. I personally would like to find out why Elizaveta is so scary to Vasily, and what exactly she is. Like, is she perhaps the vampire that turned him? Like, is she his sire? Like, what is going on? But yeah, because I think finding a bit more about Vasily's history, especially his past with Elizaveta, is going to be really interesting. And also, yeah, I just really want to find out what she is. I think that'd be really, really cool. But thank you so much for playing Death of Sunhaired with me. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. If you guys did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video. And if you would like to support these developers, the link to the game is in the description box below. And if you would like to support me, my Patreon is linked in the description box below as well. Supporting is not mandatory, just very, very appreciated. Anyway, thank you so much, and until the next fictional man, take care.